Hello family, we love having you here as always. Before we get started with this intriguing story, we would love for you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you would get notified immediately we drop new stories. As we are dedicated to you, our family, we have pledged to keep bringing you new stories daily. Now enjoy. Obinna led Amarachi out of the restaurant, the cool night air brushing against her skin. She followed him cautiously, still unsure of what he had planned. His car was parked a few steps away, its sleek design glistening under the streetlights. "Come," he said, opening the passenger door for her. She hesitated for a moment before getting in. Obinna walked around to the driver's side and started the engine. The quiet hum of the car felt different from the noisy streets she was used to. "Where are we going?" she asked. He glanced at her with a knowing smile. "Just trust me." They drove through the city, passing neighborhoods that looked nothing like the one she lived in. The roads were smooth, the buildings tall and polished. Amarachi shifted uncomfortably, suddenly aware of how different their worlds were. Obinna finally pulled up in front of a gated compound. The security guard nodded at him before letting them in. The house before her was massive, glowing warmly against the dark sky. "This is your house?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," he said, stepping out of the car. "Come, I want to show you something." She followed him inside, her eyes widening at the sight of the lavish interior. Everything looked expensive, the furniture, the chandeliers, even the air smelled different. He led her to a room at the far end of the house and pushed open the door. Inside was a small, neatly arranged office. On the desk, there were files, a laptop, and a picture of a smiling young man. "Obinna. Sit," he said, pulling out a chair for her. She sat hesitantly, her hands resting in her lap. "Why did you bring me here?" Obinna sat across from her. "I wanted to show you where I come from. But more than that, I wanted to talk to you about your future." She frowned. "My future?" "Yes. You have so much potential, Amarachi. You've survived on your own for so long, but you deserve more. I want to help you get there." Her chest tightened. "Why? Why are you doing all this for me?" He leaned forward, his eyes searching hers. "Because I believe in you. And I know you can do great things." Amarachi's heart pounded as she absorbed Obinna's words. She had spent her life struggling, pushing through each day without thinking of anything beyond survival. The idea of having a future, one that didn't involve just scraping by, felt foreign. "I don't understand," she said carefully. "What do you mean by helping me get there?" Obinna leaned back in his chair, his fingers tapping lightly against the desk. "I want to sponsor your education, Amarachi. I want you to have the opportunities you never had. You're intelligent, hardworking, and you deserve more than just struggling through life." Her breath caught in her throat. "Sponsor my education?" "Yes. You told me you had to drop out of school because there was no money. I want to change that. If you're willing, I'll take care of your school fees, books, everything." Amarachi's hands trembled slightly as she clutched the edge of her dress. It sounded too good to be true. In her experience, nothing ever came without a price. "Why would you do that for me?" she asked. "We barely know each other." Obinna gave her a small smile. "You gave me your last meal when you had nothing. You didn't do it for gain. You did it because of your heart. Now, I want to do something for you, not out of pity, but because I see something in you that you don't see in yourself yet." Her mind spun. She had always dreamed of going back to school, of becoming someone who could take care of Ifini and build a better life. But was it really possible? Could she trust him? She looked into Obinna's eyes. There was no mockery, no hidden agenda. Just sincerity. "I don't know what to say," she murmured. "Say yes," he replied. "Say you'll take this chance." Her lips parted, her thoughts a whirlwind of emotions. Was she really about to change her life forever? Amarachi's fingers tightened around the fabric of her dress. Every fiber of her being screamed that this was a risk, but for the first time in her life, it was a risk that didn't feel like a trap. She looked at Ifini, who was watching her with wide, hopeful eyes. He had never known a life outside of struggling. Was this her chance to change that for both of them? She took a deep breath. All right. I'll do it. Obina's face broke into a warm smile. You won't regret this, Amarachi. I promise. Her heart hammered as the words left her mouth. She had just agreed to something she never thought possible. Would it truly work out, or was she setting herself up for disappointment? Obina didn't waste time. Within a week, he arranged for Amarachi's enrollment in a private school. When she saw the pristine classrooms and the well-dressed students, doubt began to creep in. She felt out of place. Obina, maybe this is too much, she said hesitantly. I don't belong here. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You belong anywhere you want to be. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. His words gave her the courage to step forward. She was determined to make the most of this chance, even if fear still whispered in the back of her mind. But as she took her first step into this new world, she had no idea that not everyone would welcome her presence. The moment Amarachi stepped into the school, whispers followed her. She felt the stares of students who had known wealth all their lives. Her uniform was brand new, yet she still felt like an outsider wearing it. A group of girls by the lockers eyed her with interest. One of them, a tall girl with perfectly styled hair, folded her arms. Who's the charity case? She muttered to her friends, making sure Amarachi could hear. Amarachi swallowed hard. She had expected challenges, but not on her first day. Just as she was about to walk away, a voice spoke up. Leave her alone, Adana. A boy stepped forward, confident, sharp-eyed. Amarachi recognized him from the entrance ceremony. His name was Chaka, and he was one of the top students. Adana scoffed. Mind your business, Chaka. She's new, not invisible, he said firmly, before turning to Amarachi. Don't let them get to you. If you need help, let me know. Amarachi managed a small nod. Thank you. As Chaka walked away, Adana gave Amarachi one last glare before flipping her hair and strutting off. Amarachi exhaled. She had survived her first encounter, but something told her this was only the beginning. Amarachi found an empty seat in the classroom, her heart still racing from the encounter with Adana. She focused on her notebook, pretending to be engrossed in something important. A few minutes later, the teacher walked in, and the room settled down. Class, we have a new student joining us today. Amarachi Okeke, please stand up. Amarachi hesitated before rising to her feet. All eyes turned to her again, and she felt a lump in her throat. Welcome, Amarachi, the teacher said with a nod. Please introduce yourself. She swallowed her nerves. My name is Amarachi Okeke. I'm happy to be here. A few students snickered, but she ignored them. The teacher nodded approvingly and gestured for her to sit. Throughout the lesson, Amarachi tried her best to focus, but she could feel Adana's eyes burning into her. She didn't need trouble, she only wanted to study and make something of herself. When the bell rang, signaling the end of the period, Chaka walked over. You did well, he said casually, leaning on her desk. She glanced up. Thanks. Adana is always like that, he added. But she gets bored easily. Just don't let her see that she's bothering you. Amarachi nodded, grateful for his kindness. I'll try. As he walked away, she took a deep breath. It was only her first day, and she already had an enemy, but she also had an unexpected ally. Amarachi left the classroom feeling relieved that the first day was over. She clutched her bag tightly and walked towards the school gate, hoping to get home before it got too late. Amarachi. Chaka's voice called from behind her. She turned to see him jogging up to her. Hey, she said, surprised. Where do you stay? Maybe I can walk with you, he offered, his smile easy and warm. She hesitated for a moment before nodding. I stay in Obodo Street, near the market. Ah, that's not too far, he said as they began walking. So, how was your first day? She sighed. It was okay. Just a little overwhelming. He nodded. I understand. This school can be tough if you don't know how to handle certain people. She knew exactly who he was talking about. Adana. He chuckled. You're smart. She's one of those people who think they own the world. But don't let her intimidate you. Amarachi smiled slightly. I'll try. They walked in comfortable silence for a while until Chaka stopped. This is where I turn. You'll be fine from here? She nodded. Yes. Thanks, Chaka. Anytime, Amarachi. He waved before heading off in the opposite direction. She watched him go, a small feeling of gratitude settling in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, school wouldn't be so bad after all. Amarachi walked the rest of the way home, her thoughts lingering on her conversation with Chaka. It was nice to have at least one friendly face in school. As she reached her house, she took a deep breath before stepping inside. Ifini was sitting at the small wooden table, his face buried in a book. He looked up and grinned. Sister, how was school? She smiled, ruffling his hair as she set her bag down. It was fine. Some people weren't very welcoming, but I'll manage. He frowned. Did someone insult you? Tell me, I will go and fight them. She laughed at his seriousness. Don't worry, Ifini. I can handle it. Just then, a knock sounded on the door. Amarachi's heart skipped. They rarely had visitors. She exchanged a glance with Ifini before walking to the door and pulling it open. Obinna stood there, his hands in his pockets, his eyes filled with something unreadable. Good evening, Amarachi. Can we talk? She swallowed. The last time he came, he had given her the biggest shock of her life by revealing he was a billionaire. Now, seeing him here again, she didn't know what to expect. She stepped aside. Come in. Obinna entered, his gaze scanning the small room. Ifini stared at him with wide eyes. Is this your friend, sister? He asked excitedly. Obinna chuckled. You must be Ifini. Your sister talks about you a lot. Ifini beamed proudly. She does. Amarachi folded her arms. Obinna, what brings you here? His smile faded slightly. I came because I need your help with something important. Amarachi raised an eyebrow. My help? What could I possibly help you with? Obinna took a deep breath before speaking. I know this will sound strange, but I want you to work for me. Her mouth fell open slightly. Work for you? Doing what? As my personal assistant. I need someone I can trust, and after everything, I believe that person is you. She let out a dry laugh. Obinna, I don't even have experience with that kind of job. How do you expect me to? You'll learn on the job. I'll personally train you, he interrupted. I don't need someone with experience. I need someone with integrity, someone who won't treat me differently because of my money. That's you. Ifini's eyes lit up. Sister, say yes. That sounds like a great job. Amarachi hesitated. It did sound like a wonderful opportunity, but something inside her was hesitant. Why are you doing this? Out of pity. Obinna shook his head. No. Because I see potential in you. Because I know you can do more if given the right opportunity. You've helped me before, and now, I want to help you. She looked down, thinking hard. This could change everything. No more struggling to find money for school fees, no more nights going to bed hungry. But could she really trust Obinna's intentions? After a long silence, she looked up. All right. I'll do it. Obinna smiled, relief flashing in his eyes. Good. You won't regret this. The following morning, Amarachi stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the simple dress she had chosen. She still couldn't believe it. She was about to start a new job, a real job, with a salary. A part of her was still nervous, but Ifini had been too excited for her to back out now. Sister, you look beautiful. Ifini grinned as he sat on their small bed. Imagine, my own sister working for a billionaire. She laughed softly, shaking her head. It's just a job, Ifini. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. A knock on the door interrupted them. Her heart skipped a beat as she opened it to see Obinna standing outside, dressed sharply in a dark suit. He looked different, more intimidating in this setting. "Good morning," he greeted with a smile. "Good morning," she replied, stepping aside. "Please, come in." Obinna glanced around the tiny room, his expression unreadable. Ifini jumped up eagerly. "Good morning, sir." Obinna chuckled. "Just call me Obinna. Are you ready, Amarachi?" She nodded, grabbing her small bag. "Yes, I am." As they stepped outside, she noticed a sleek black car waiting. She hesitated. She had never entered a car this expensive before. Obinna noticed her hesitation and gestured towards it. "Don't worry, you'll get used to it." Swallowing hard, she slid into the seat, feeling the soft leather beneath her. Obinna got in beside her, and the driver started the engine. The ride was silent at first, but Obinna eventually broke it. "I need you to be honest with me, Amarachi. Are you comfortable doing this? I don't want you to feel forced." She looked at him, surprised by the question. "I won't lie, I'm nervous. But I also know this is an opportunity one can't afford to waste." He nodded approvingly. "Good. I admire your honesty. You're going to do well." As they drove into the city, Amarachi looked out at the tall buildings, her heart racing. This was a new beginning, and she was ready to face whatever came next. As the car pulled up in front of a towering glass building, Amarachi's hands tightened around the strap of her bag. The entrance alone was grander than anything she had ever seen. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Obinna noticed her hesitation. "Relax. You'll do just fine." She nodded, stepping out of the car. The moment she entered the lobby, she felt the weight of curious eyes on her. The polished floors gleamed under the bright lights, and the air smelled expensive. She swallowed hard. A woman in a fitted navy blue dress approached them. "Good morning, sir," she greeted Obinna before turning to Amarachi with a curious gaze. "This must be the new assistant." "Yes, this is Amarachi," Obinna confirmed. "Amarachi, this is Evelyn, my personal secretary. She'll show you around." Evelyn gave a polite smile, but Amarachi could sense the subtle scrutiny in her eyes. "Follow me. I'll take you to your desk." As Amarachi followed Evelyn through the vast office, she couldn't ignore the way people whispered as she passed. She wasn't blind to the questioning looks, as if everyone was trying to figure out how she got this job. It made her uncomfortable, but she kept her head high. "This will be your workspace," Evelyn said, stopping in front of a small but neatly arranged desk. "Your duties will include organizing documents, handling schedules, and running errands when necessary. Do you have any experience with office work?" Amarachi hesitated before shaking her head. "Not really, but I learn fast." Evelyn's lips pressed into a thin line, as if she had expected that answer. "All right. I'll go over the basics with you. Just make sure to pay attention." Amarachi nodded, determined to prove herself. This was an opportunity she couldn't afford to waste, no matter how intimidating the environment felt. Meanwhile, Obinna watched from his office, noticing how some employees looked at Amarachi with doubt. He had expected this. People would talk, question his decision, but he didn't care. He had a feeling she was going to surprise everyone, and he couldn't wait to see it happen. Amarachi spent the rest of the morning familiarizing herself with her duties. Evelyn gave her instructions with a professional but distant tone, making it clear that she would not tolerate mistakes. Amarachi absorbed everything like a sponge, determined not to disappoint Obinna or herself. By noon, she had successfully sorted out documents, arranged schedules, and even managed a few calls. It was overwhelming, but she refused to let fear control her. She would get better with time. Just as she was about to take a breath, a tall man with sharp features and a well-tailored suit approached her desk. He glanced at her with mild disinterest before speaking. "You're the new girl, right?" She nodded. "Yes, sir. My name is Amarachi. I'm Mr. Desmond, head of finance, he said curtly. If you're working here, you better keep up. This isn't a charity. His words stung, but she kept her composure. I understand, sir. I'll do my best. Desmond scoffed and walked away without another word. Amarachi exhaled, shaking off the encounter. She wouldn't let negativity get to her. Later that evening, Obinna called her into his office. He was seated behind his desk, his fingers interlocked. How was your first day? She hesitated before answering. It was challenging. But I'll manage. He smiled. I know you will. Don't let anyone intimidate you. You belong here. His words filled her with warmth. She had spent her life fighting to survive, and now, for the first time, she felt like she had a chance at something bigger. As she stepped out of his office, she vowed to herself she would prove everyone wrong. The next morning, Amarachi arrived early at the office, determined to start strong. She organized Obinna's schedule, arranged documents, and prepared coffee exactly the way he liked it. If she was going to prove herself, she had to be consistent. Just as she settled into her tasks, Evelyn approached with a raised eyebrow. Not bad for your second day, she commented, her tone neutral. But let's see if you can keep up. Amarachi forced a polite smile. I will. Before Evelyn could respond, Obinna stepped out of his office. Amarachi, come in for a moment. She followed him inside, heart pounding. He gestured for her to sit. I have a business meeting at the Hilton later today. I want you to come along and observe. You'll take notes. Her eyes widened. Me? Are you sure? Yes, he said firmly. You need to understand how things work. It will help you grow. She nodded, swallowing her nerves. I won't disappoint you. As the day went on, she prepared herself for the meeting. She borrowed a blazer from a kind receptionist who noticed her worried expression. When the time came, she followed Obinna to the sleek black car waiting outside. The ride was silent, but Obinna finally broke it. You seem nervous. A little, she admitted. I've never been to such a meeting before. He glanced at her. Just observe and learn. You'll be fine. When they arrived at the hotel, men in suits greeted them. Obinna introduced her simply as his assistant. As she took her seat, Amarachi realized something. She wasn't just a poor girl struggling to survive anymore. She was stepping into a new world, and she had to be ready for it. The meeting at the Hilton was unlike anything Amarachi had ever experienced. The men at the table spoke in confident tones, discussing numbers and business strategies that made her head spin. She kept her eyes on her notepad, jotting down everything she could, determined to understand. Obinna occasionally glanced at her, noting how focused she was. He had expected her to be overwhelmed, but she handled herself well, calm and observant. Midway through the discussion, one of the businessmen, Mr. Adeyemi, turned his attention to Amarachi. And who is this young lady? Obinna leaned back in his chair. My new assistant. She's here to learn. Mr. Adeyemi smiled, intrigued. Learning from the best, I see. That's good. The world needs more sharp minds. Amarachi nodded respectfully, though she remained quiet. When the meeting finally ended, Obinna and Amarachi walked back to the car. She clutched her notes tightly, her mind racing with everything she had just heard. How was it? Obinna asked as they settled into the back seat. Intense, she admitted. But I learned a lot. Thank you for bringing me. He nodded. Good. Learn fast, Amarachi. There's more to come. As they drove back to the office, Evelyn stood by the entrance, arms crossed, watching their return. Her eyes narrowed slightly when she saw Amarachi stepping out of the car beside Obinna. How was the meeting? She asked, forcing a smile. Educational, Amarachi responded, stepping past her. Evelyn's fingers curled into a fist. She wasn't going to let this new girl get too comfortable. The tension between Amarachi and Evelyn only grew stronger over the next few days. Every time Amarachi stepped into the office, She could feel Evelyn's sharp gaze on her, as if waiting for her to make a mistake. One afternoon, as Amarachi was organizing some files in Obina's office, Evelyn walked in without knocking. "You seem to be adjusting well," she said, her tone laced with sarcasm. Amarachi looked up. "I'm trying my best." Evelyn smirked, stepping closer. "Do you really think you belong here? Do you have any idea what it takes to survive in this kind of environment?" Amarachi met her gaze, refusing to be intimidated. "I may not know everything yet, but I'm willing to learn. That's what matters." Evelyn let out a short laugh. "We'll see about that." Before Amarachi could respond, Obina walked in. His eyes flicked between the two women, sensing the tension in the room. "Is there a problem?" Evelyn quickly plastered on a smile. "Not at all. I was just welcoming Amarachi properly." Obina didn't look convinced. "Good. Because she's here to stay." Evelyn's expression faltered for a moment before she turned and walked out, her heels clicking against the floor. Amarachi exhaled slowly, realizing just how much of a threat Evelyn saw her as. Obina looked at Amarachi. "Ignore her. Focus on your work." She nodded, but deep inside, she knew that Evelyn wasn't going to back down so easily. Over the next few days, Amarachi dedicated herself to her work, determined to prove that she deserved her place in the company. She arrived early, stayed late, and paid attention to every detail. Obina noticed her effort and was impressed, though he kept his praise subtle, knowing that too much attention on her would only fuel Evelyn's resentment. One evening, as Amarachi was about to leave, she received a call from Ifini. His voice was shaky. "Sister, someone came to the house asking about you." "A woman?" She looked angry. Amarachi's heart pounded. "Did she say her name?" "No, but she was driving a big car. She said you stole something that didn't belong to you." Amarachi's hands trembled as she gripped the phone. There was no doubt in her mind it was Evelyn. But what was she planning? The next morning, Amarachi walked into the office with her head held high, but she could feel the tension in the air. Whispers followed her as she made her way to her desk. When she opened her email, her stomach dropped. An anonymous message read, "People like you don't last here. Leave while you can." She took a deep breath and closed the email. She wouldn't let fear control her. She had fought too hard to let someone like Evelyn push her out. Later that day, Obina called her into his office. He looked concerned. "Amarachi, is everything okay? You seem distracted." She hesitated before answering. "I think Evelyn is trying to scare me away." Obina's jaw tightened. "I won't let that happen." At that moment, the office door swung open, and Evelyn stepped inside, her eyes cold. "We need to talk, Obina. Now." Amarachi could feel the storm brewing, but she refused to back down. She was ready for whatever was coming next. Hello family, kindly tell us where you are watching from and the time your watch says right now in the comment section. We would love to hear from you, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. New series are coming very soon. Subscribe. Feel free to support us by joining Zara Premium. Also feel free to give us your feedback in the comment section. This helps us improve. You can support us directly by gifting us super thanks. You can find the thanks option below the video, next to the thumbs up, dislike, and share buttons. Super thanks is a feature here on YouTube that allows you to show extra gratitude to us by purchasing a special animation and a distinct, colorful, and customizable comment in the comments section.